Good evening. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax TV. You know, one of the main questions I am getting in emails about the socialist planned border crisis is how is the federal government even getting away with this? Simple answer is, I don't know. Rule of law doesn't appear to apply to any of our political adversaries these days. Confusion reigns over the Democrats' planned border crisis, and I think that's the point. That's the focus of tonight's preamble. Democrats have caused this humanitarian crisis at the border, likely to divert the nation's attention from other malign activities they're doing behind our backs. But it's getting to the point where the socialists brazenly defy the law, seemingly unfazed by any consequences, because there is no opposition party to stand in their way. It's like they know they're going to get away with it. Now, shockingly, it was CNN that revealed that Biden and his merry band of Marxist-Leninists are holding illegal alien children in violation of, say it with me now, U.S. law.
So, Priscilla, legally, minors are supposed to be transferred out of U.S. Border Patrol custody within 72 hours. So why isn't that happening?
All of that together, you have more kids coming into U.S. custody, but just not enough space to put them in shelter. So that means that these kids are staying in Border Patrol facility for prolonged periods of time. And those are facilities that are not intended for them. They look like jail-like conditions, like prison cells with concrete walls and concrete benches. And these kids are spending more than the 3-day limit that they're supposed to, according to federal law.
Oh, so the Biden administration is jailing illegal alien kids. Oh, and they're doing so in violation of U.S. law. You know, someone should tell a Republican somewhere for all the good that'll do. None of this would be happening if the GOP and Democrats hadn't colluded to make stupid laws that give special status to unaccompanied minors in the first place. But we all know that law and many others were passed to make sure illegal immigration never ends, despite the protestations of the vast majority of the American people. Many of you might be a little confused. Have we not been told all of our lives that we have a two-party system? There's supposed to be parties in opposition? Seems only one side got the memo. Meanwhile, Biden's Department of Homeland Security Secretary, God help us all, Alejandro Mayorkis, was asked very respectfully by Fox News Sunday Democrat Chris Wallace why the Biden administration was blocking the press from documenting border facilities that are bursting at the seams and are seeing outbreaks of the China virus.
And we are focused on our operations, executing our operations in a crowded Border Patrol facility where hundreds of vulnerable migrant children are located, number one. And number two, we're working on providing footage so that the American public can see the Border Patrol stations.
Okay. Number one, the kids are vulnerable because the United States socialists encourage them to come by themselves to take advantage of pro-illegal immigration laws forced on this country by both parties. Also because of the China virus outbreak, the illegal alien populations, they are not the vulnerable people in this scenario, Mr. Secretary. The vulnerable people are Americans. We are just turning the corner on the China virus, yet Biden is ushering in another public health crisis through unfettered illegal immigration. And number two, DHS will provide the media with video? Since when did the American press accept state-run propaganda and call it news? Well, I guess since socialists took control of Washington, I suppose. In the same interview with Wallace, Mayorkis claimed that the world's children actually belong right here in the United States.
I would encourage you and other reporters to see the facilities under the control of the Health and Human Services Department, where those children are sheltered and where they belong and where we are moving them as quickly as possible.
Where they belong? Many Americans would object to the notion that the world's children belong in the good old US of A. I object to that. But Mayorkis is allowed to jump on TV and speak for me and speak for all of you. I know it's confusing. I know. None of you wanted massive illegal immigration. None of you signed up to take care of the world's children. None of you asked for this crisis. It is a crisis at the border, right, Jen Psaki?
Unrelated to any vaccine doses or requests for them, that they would be partners in dealing with the crisis on the border.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness. The administration finally admits to the crisis they caused at the border. Now we can finally move forward solving this illegal immigration disaster.
Well, children presenting at our border who are fleeing violence, who are fleeing prosecution, who are fleeing terrible situations is not a crisis.
Oh, so the smartest people in the world can't even keep their own stories straight. I know. Very confusing. Maybe we need to look elsewhere. Socialists and Republicans don't seem to have any answers. Maybe a conservative does.
By all evidence, the administration's plan is effectively open borders. If you look at what is happening on the southern border, it is the direct consequence of policy decisions made by the Biden administration. The instant Joe Biden got into office, he halted construction on the wall. He reinstated catch and release, the failed policy where illegal immigrants are detained and then they're released and asked to come to a court date in the future. And unfortunately, we know a very large number of them never show up at the court date. And most inexplicably, he ended the Remain in Mexico policy, you know, a great foreign policy victory, an immigration victory that the Trump administration had achieved. The illegal immigrants being released are testing positive for COVID at a rate 7 times higher than the U.S. population. It is indefensible.
There it is, the truth. I think this little review the Chris Salcedo show just conducted is what's at bottom of the Democrats' cancerous cancel culture. See, they seek to destroy debate. They seek to tamp down dissent. They seek to force everyone to agree with their worldview, or at the very least, they seek to keep the American people dazed and confused with doublespeak and unrelated minutia, to keep us distracted, you know, from focusing in on truth. And if folks like us at Newsmax, if we don't comply with them, they simply work to silence our voices. Here's something you can ask your family, friends, and neighbors the next time you debate the issues of our time. If the other side's arguments can't stand up to examination, questions, or just good old-fashioned opposition, then how good and how true are any of those policy prescriptions?
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.